Hey there, it's Anissa here in Kamloops at the ladies meeting, and I have Gina Best in her office. What town are you in?
Vancouver.
Awesome. I'm up in Kamloops because I've got some little short people, my favorite little short people. I have two grandkids. Odin and Jameson was just born 2 weeks ago, so gotta come and hang out with them a little bit more before he gets out of that, that baby smell phase. And you have some kidlets as well.
I do. I have an 11 and a 14-year-old, almost 14-year-old. So I'm way past the baby stage, and I never did the baby stage, and I'm really okay with that.
Just go right past go and
3.5 and 4, they came fully formed. It was perfect.
Oh, sounds easier. I'm seeing the baby changing and stuff like that going on. I'm totally got it. But I was also holding Jameis in my arms while I was like typing out stuff like this. I'm like, oh, I remember doing this in my first business, which was a baby blanket business. And I was holding Garrett, and I'd sit there all night trying to figure out how to build a website because they didn't exist yet. But I was a graphic designer, so I'm like, I know I can do this. Do you remember web circles?
Yes, vaguely.
The only way to get to another website was through, there was no Google. There was no, it was just purely you had to connect to the dots basically to get to the next website, and hopefully they had something in common.
Right.
Yeah. I was just thinking this morning, the first time I knew that you existed, you probably didn't know. It was an Owen Clark book launch.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
At the Inn on the Quay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I was coming out from Abbotsford. My kids were still in high school, and I was like, oh my God, she is so bold and amazing. And you were like nothing I'd ever seen before. And everyone was getting those really cool little avatars, which I still see it. And I come from a town where I was still convincing people that the internet existed while coming into the city and going to BNI once in a while with Owen, where he's like showing people how to use it well versus I'm just like, you need email.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I still fight the battle with people about Gmail.
Oh, yeah.
If you have a business, you should not be using @gmail.com. It is completely done. Right? It takes away credibility right off the bat. I can't believe how many people still do it.
Okay, I got to get my domains back up and running.
Yeah.
I've been told.
For the day.
Yeah, I have them all set up. It's a matter of keeping up with all the technology and going back to GoDaddy and getting that email forwarding. Because I just have, at one point, I was running enough other people's businesses that it was just like, just forward it all to my Gmail. Otherwise, I couldn't.
And you can still do that. Like all my accounts are Gmail, but they don't say Gina@gmail.com.
No, they say GinaBest.com.
No, GinaBest, no .com.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah,
I had to actually go check it out that it wasn't like a typo the first time I saw it.
Yeah, it got announced a couple of years ago, and my amazing branding person called me the day of, and she's like, "Oh my God, it got announced. Buy it now." And I'm like, "Okay." And it's one of the most expensive out there. It's not the $35.com, but
yeah,
it's fabulous.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, I was looking at the value of my different websites and things like that, and it's amazing to see because now they're like real estate, right? And some of the ones I bought 10 years ago, it's like, oh crap. Or I wish I'd bought my own name.com because it's now worth about 15 grand.
Yeah. There's a realtor in San Francisco with the same name as mine.
Yikes. You got the best.
One day I'll meet her. No, she's GinaBest.com. I think. It used to be.
Anyway, so much fun. So on the Ladies Meeting podcast, Gina is one of our members, and she's also going to be our speaker on the last Tuesday in March. And what's your topic that you're speaking on?
Shifts happening. My topic is, let me bring up the document to make sure I hit it right. Of course I can't.
Well, while you're doing that, I'm going to describe my background here. I'm in my daughter's sewing room, and she has a business called Wild Ones. And so last night I took over. They have social media takeovers. I took over the sewing room last night, made some new leggings, went to the fabric store, bought a new membership. Haven't done that in years. It was so much fun. There's sparkly pants coming back there, by the way. So, your topic.
You're funny. I sew as well, believe it or not.
I totally believe it. I've been to your house and seen your scrapbooking and your all sorts of stuff.
Scrapbooking is long gone.
Yeah.
Shift is in the air. What are you going to do about it? So what does normal mean to you? So lately in my world, it's come up over and over again, normal, right? So depending on who you are, how you were raised, the answer is different, right? I don't fit the mold per se, and it's really quite interesting sometimes when I do business presentations because I take off my sweater for shock value. Right? I will, I do. I take off my sweater for shock value because I don't look like someone who built a multi-million-dollar company, right? And it's all of these questions about the normal, and it's also about how it trickles into everyday life. Like, what do you settle for because you think that's what you should, and where did that come from? It's these rules that we pick up along the way. And yeah, rules are to keep us safe, but there's also rules that we interpret. It was really surprising for me that everybody thought I was really out there and I, didn't care what other people think. And, but I had all these rules in my head that I had to follow. And I don't know where I just picked them up along the way. So and I realize now most of them don't serve me well.
Well, you weren't a member yet, but I actually gave a talk on the 6 rules that I had to break to find me and to become happy. And I had to go through my childhood and all those rules that I'm like, where did it come from? And how I had to break those rules to feel good with myself.
Absolutely. And it's this whole, like, we pick them up along the way. And here's the best example. So people think that, so many people go to work when they're sick.
Yeah.
Right. Because they need to go to work. And somewhere along the way, so when they were a kid, they probably saw their parents go to work when they were sick. Or they probably heard a comment about, oh, you're not really sick, get to work. The parent probably never meant any of that. They probably went to work either because they had to and didn't have a choice, or they learned the same thing. But the reality is when you're sick, stay home. Like,
don't get everyone else sick.
Yeah, like here it is in a nutshell. But we go through this whole, oh, I'm not sick enough. Oh, I'm lazy. Oh, I shouldn't take the day. Oh, like when is the last time you laid in bed and watched TV? For no reason. And not got up and done anything.
I'm pretty guilty of TV is my addiction. So
okay.
Everyone says, oh, you're so busy. I'm like, no. I watch hours of television. But I also live in a resort where we just go so hard sometimes.
So 2 Saturdays ago, my house was empty. It is something that never happens. So the dogs and I laid on my bed for 3 hours and watched TV. And I didn't feel guilty at all because my house was empty and it was quiet. So it's all about these rules. And, how does society, and I mean, it's even more than that. Like, how does society norms influence everything you do? I've had some really interesting revelations the last few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them is around men. So I realized that I settled for what I could get for years because I was the fat kid. I should, be thankful that some guy finds me attractive. Who the fuck am I kidding?
That's how I got married the first time. It was like, oh my God, somebody loves me. Marry him quick.
I feel so sad that I thought so little of myself. Right? Like, it just kills me. But that's kind of how it's shaped because, I was a big girl and I should be thankful someone like me. Who the fuck? And this is all the society norm stuff. So this is all the stuff that's coming up in my world. And then it trickles down to people I work with and clients I deal with. And it's amazing how many people don't do things because they think they shouldn't. Or they have this rule in their head that they don't even know they have.
Yeah, it's a thing that we I think, especially as women, where we typecast ourselves, and to rebuild that. When my kids grew up and left the house, I spent 2 years doing a lot of nothing. I spent all my money that I that was profit from selling my house. But you know what? I got to know who I was, not as a parent, which was like to be a single parent, going to university at the same time, working full time. It was like full on. It was like I didn't even know how to stop, right? And so to come to that hard stop and just take time to get to know who you are and just hang out and go do those things that you meant to do. I didn't go do any wild traveling or anything. I just hung out with me and figured out who I was. And then also to become a grandma at a young age too. And it was like, oh, you're so young. I'm like, not really. Because my daughter, she had kids at the same age I did, 22, 24. She bought her first house the same day I did. Which was like, it's not from the town we come from. That's old. Like, this is our normal. but even now it's like, oh, you're too young to be a grandma. I'm like, no, I'm just advanced. I'm good. But I have to build this new thing, because I live in a town where people who are, I'm turning 48 this year, have 4 and 5-year-olds.
Yeah.
I live in Whistler, where a 4 and a 5-year-old and a 48-year-old come in as, those.
You're not the norm anymore, right? We're the norm that, I'm up there with you, and I have a 10, 11, and almost 14. Last year was the year. So when it goes back to all these normal things, I just went through what I refer to as the breast cancer adventure. So it took 2.5 years of my life. And it was really interesting because, I had my mastectomy November 2016, first year. And then with that, the cancer was gone, which was great. I had a fillable implant that I had to have filled for 6 months and then wait to have the next surgery. And it was really interesting because I was supposed to be thankful. And absolutely, am I thankful the cancer that I got, the easy version, and I didn't have to have chemo or radiation. And once I had my mastectomy, it was gone. But it was really interesting, the expectation of others that I was supposed to be okay. And it was gone, and now everything is fine.
Versus, can you just be angry?
And it wasn't even angry. I was lost. And then, I had the implant replaced, the fillable implant replaced. And then that started the worst year of my life. It was awful. And then again, I was supposed to be thankful that I had some kind of implant, even though it was fucking horrible. And I was cancer free. And I was supposed to be good and back to my life and everything okay. But you know what? It wasn't. And I'm bucking the trend, because I got to tell you, there's some women who go through this and are amazing and come out the other side, and they don't need it. They don't have, they're okay with no reconstruction. That wasn't me. I got too much baggage attached to that crap. I needed to have boob, and it messed with me. And I'm half the people, other half people. And it's this whole expectation. That's what made me start thinking about all this again. And again, super grateful I'm cancer free. Absolutely. Thankful I didn't have to do treatment. I don't mean to by any means belittle that part, but I wasn't okay. And if one more person said to me, well, it's just a boob, I would have started screaming.
Well, it's funny because I had a conversation with my mom yesterday, because she's not in a home where they take care of you. She's in a home where you have built-in friends, and they have someone that just went over to the other place, and she's like, oh yeah, she's hanging around. She's got one boob, and she's just totally okay with having the one boob, and she's not that kind of person to care. And I'm like, hey mom, aren't we really lucky and blessed that, we got that genetic gene pool? And I don't think she's ever really thought about it and that, but it was so what the beautiful part was is having that conversation. And talking about it, because that's not something my mom ever would have talked about before. So I think talking about our boobs, and have or have not or whatever, just having the conversations and how it makes us feel is so huge. And not having it in this construct of the old school, don't talk about it.
Yeah, and for me, like, the reality is that I couldn't have kids. I tried, didn't happen, lost twins. I had so much attached to my boobs because they made me a woman. Right. And even though I've done a lot of work and I've passed that, the idea of going through without having them, I just couldn't get my head around. So again, I take my hat off to the women who can do it, because I think they're amazing. Right. And I've had to get another surgery since then. It's actually quite lovely. When it settles down, I got a little pokey thing going on. I'm going to have a humongous tattoo done. It's the only way I'm ever going to own it, because it's not part of my body. Like, it is, but it isn't, it's always cold. Right? And my friend Heidi said, of course it's cold. It's silicone in your body. And I'm like, oh.
But like, that's something some people just don't realize, that it's something that's constantly going to feel separate.
Yeah. Right? So this is what made me start thinking about all of these norms and, and the dating. And I have a new lover who just thinks I am the best thing since sliced bread. And he's delicious. And he is the most...
It's because you are kind of the best thing since life.
I am, but he is a lesson for me, because he's so comfortable and so owns himself, and that's just the way it is. And he's the most refreshing person I've met in a long time, and I'm having a great time. But it's the whole, I am pretty awesome, and I'm done with that shit. I'm not the normal, but oh well, I'm enjoying every moment of it. So that's what this is all about. It's the rules in our head. Like, what's holding you back?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm still, and the thing is, like you said, it's not that we're going through it. We're not necessarily getting over. I still feel total failure in getting divorced and not being able to hold a family together. And I still can't get over the disappointment. Like it's a death that
Yeah.
I lost my family, and people, it's like, oh, it was good. It's over. It's done. He's gone. And it's like, I think it was like 20 years ago now.
My question to you is, did you grieve it?
Oh, I laid on the floor and screamed my head off, and yeah, tons.
Yeah, because the more you grieve it, the more you need, the more you need to grieve things like that. Like, they don't ever go away.
Yeah, and it's still part of who you are. It's part of what makes me who I am. And you have to do the work, though. I totally agree. Okay,
Do the work.
Get to our little podcast stuff.
Okay.
What are the 3 most important things we should know about you?
I got a lot of those. I have theme songs in my head.
Awesome.
I completely beat to my own drum. And don't tell me what to do.
Awesome. What is work and what is play?
All of it.
Perfect.
I don't believe you can separate personal and business. It's taken me a long time to figure that out. And work I love it all. And I love where I am work-wise.
What was the turning point between work and play and learning that what you do and what you love, and that was there, because you worked really hard.
I have worked really hard. Yeah. When I started doing all the personal development, I realized that I had kept everybody at such arm's length. And work was work and home was home, and there was no meeting. But the reality is, 80% of the problem in your business is you. And when I started up my coaching practice, with the mortgage brokerage, I could keep work and play separate because it was very linear, right? It was mortgages. It was that. When I started the coaching practice, I realized that it's so much, it's my heart and soul. And I realized that I can't coach effectively business or life and not share who I am. And so it all became entwined. Like I spent the weekend at the office because we just got a hole in the wall and took over the space next door. My kids came with me all weekend. They played way too many video games. And I made them help a little bit. So it all goes hand in hand these days.
And cool that you can find stuff to do with your kids as well.
Yeah, when I like them. They're 11 and almost 14.
Well, when my kids were a little bit older than that, I started running I built first and then managed to get the business going because I was doing all the business structure in RV park. But the coolest part was I got my kids to run the front desk. It was learn to do you head out on the lawnmower, like things to do with your kids where it makes such a difference later in life. You maybe don't see it now, but when you've worked with your kids, and they've learned who you are as well, it makes a really big difference too. I think it makes you more connected for sure. Is there something you want others to help you achieve or that you think needs support?
Yes. So I've launched my One Boob Down initiative. So this is a program for women after the breast cancer adventure. So after the cancer is gone or in remission, after the treatments, after surgery, or I suppose they could still be in the surgery if they're doing reconstruction process. I realized I lost a year of my life last year. Last year was probably the worst year of my life. I made some really bad decisions because you shouldn't make decisions when you're in hell.
So after all the food in the freezer that everybody brought over for you and then they left, it's empty.
Yeah, and it's a very awful place to be, and it took a lot of work, and I don't want anybody else to ever go through it alone, so I'm going to go get them. So what I would love support from is to get it out there. So the website is up and running. I'm going to do a big launch I'm going to do a big Facebook post in the next couple of days. And I just want people to know that they're not alone and there is an option, and it doesn't have to be done the hard way.
And what's the website?
oneboobdown.com.
.com, because we had the .com conversation. That's why I was curious.
oneboobdown.com.
What is your favorite thing to do with friends?
Laugh.
What makes you laugh the most lately?
What makes me laugh?
And you can be totally honest. If you've listened to Andrea's podcast or even you can be as honest as you want.
I just think last time I had a really, really big belly laugh.
Yeah.
I think it's just silly friends being silly.
In the restaurant, in the car, at the kitchen counter, where?
I laugh a lot in the car because I listen to podcasts. I laugh a lot at myself. My friend Tina makes me laugh. Right? She comes in when she's my business partner, one of the businesses, and she makes me laugh. So I don't know what it is in particular right now. I laugh a lot. I can get me snorting if you get me going well enough. I'm a big snorter.
Oh, well, I hope one day we snort together. One day. What is a product you are rarely without?
Product? Lip Sense, of course. I don't have it on yet this morning because I came from the gym.
That new mascara.
Yeah, I use all that stuff. Product that I'm usually without. Oh, I have a new smelly roll-on essential oil mix from Silk Road Tea called Happy that I love. It's in my purse.
Oh, that sounds amazing. What does it smell like?
It's kind of citrusy and happy.
It's perky. Citrusy thing becomes perky for me. What do you hope to be doing 10 years or 20 years from now that you do now?
Exactly what I'm doing. I want to do more speaking. I want to get in front of groups of women, especially breast cancer patients, breast cancer thrivers. I hate the word survivor. Breast cancer venture graduates. I don't know how to put it. What I have to say is important, and I need to get on more stages.
Cool. Well, I hope we help you do that. Because you, I don't know. I think you brighten my life up. I think
thank you.
Life is better with Gina in it. Basically,
I try to touch everyone I come across.
That's awesome. Do you have a life hack for us? I'm going to guess it's going to be laughing, but is there something else?
For the love of God, enough with the procrastination, with the excuses. Just write it down and just get it done. You know what? So many people spend hours avoiding what they need to do. Just do it and move on, right? Because then you have the free time to do the fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it's the eat a frog for breakfast then.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this morning in the car I was thinking, okay, these are the 4 things I have to do today, and then I can do something fun.
If you know to teach boys how to do that, let me know. I still have a 22-year-old son that I'm trying to drill that into.
Yeah.
And like, get your passport. So, because he does music shows and stuff like that. Like, get your passport. So when you get that invite to go to Europe to run a show, you can go. Be prepared for I always say, be prepared for your Oprah moment. You know, those people that they get their Oprah moment, that amazing moment, and then they don't have their book launch. They don't have this. They don't have anything ready. But then the moment is gone, right? But if you get shit done, you're ready for when that moment comes.
Exactly. And you know what? It's about, we all, as much as I wish we didn't have to do what we have to do, like I'd love to say, I'm not naive enough to think everybody in the world is living their passion in their job. Or, the reality is sometimes we got to do shit. That's just the way it is. You need to pay bills. You need to feed yourself and your family. Like, do what you gotta do and get it done, and stop putting it off, because the longer you have it hanging over your head, the worse it is. And it's always the idea of it. It's never actually that bad.
It's true. And once it's done, the feeling.
Oh, yeah.
The feeling is so amazing.
Yeah, totally.
Cool. Well, hey, we did this in 32 minutes. About 30 minutes. Thank you so much. The goal with the Ladies Meeting podcast is so that we can all get to know each other better. So I hope that a whole bunch of members get to see the real you before you come out and give our talk. If people want to buy tickets to come out and see Gina at our luncheon, you can go to theladiesmeeting.com/live-events. She also gets a whole bunch of free tickets, so you might want to connect with her. Good reason for them to have listened to the whole podcast as well, because they'll know that they get some free tickets if they connect with you. Yeah. So we will see you on the last Tuesday of March.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks, Gina.
Look forward to it.
I'm stopping the recording now.
Okay.
Click.